basically, if people could not attend car shows, I was doing it for them so they could do it virtually. Like they were living vicariously through my sharing of like going to these shows and seeing all the highlights of the show. When we first started, we were just selling other people's brands. So we were doing that for a while. And then people started asking for our own household name brand. Like, hey, are you ever going to do a down for sound amplifier or whatever? I'm like, oh no, we're making good money on these other ones. No need to do that. And then anyway, it put that little seed in my head. I'm like, maybe they're onto something there. It'd be cool to have an amp of our own. And so that's how that started. And now we've grown our own Down for Sound brand to having over 500 different SKUs. So 500 different products of like full amplifier line, full speaker line, sound deadening, pretty much everything at this moment besides subwoofers. And those are in the work. I did reach the $1 million goal that year. I actually hit 1.2 in that year, 2016. And then it kind of just went up from there. In the past 3 years, 2020, I think, that year we did 18.1.
If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest. Welcome, Digital Trailblazers. This is Leah Ray Getz. I'm super excited to have with us our guest today, Johnathan Price. Johnathan, you've got a really cool story. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hey, what's happening, guys? My name is Johnathan Price. I'm the owner and operator of downforsoundshop.com, a business that I started after growing a pretty large following through social media and leveraged that into getting a lot of sales.
Yeah, so this is a very cool journey. So why don't we backtrack this to the beginning of this journey? Let our audience know exactly how you got started.
So the way that I started this was I had always been into car audio and going to car shows, and always was kind of an extremist when it came to building a car audio system. So when I would take it to car shows, it would get a lot of attention and people would get in my vehicle and be really wowed by the experience. So the more I went, the more people started asking me, where do you get your equipment from? And the light bulb went off in my head, was like, man, I could be selling these people this equipment if I could just figure out how. So that's kind of how it got started. But at that time, I didn't know anything about business. I never had an official business or anything like that. So I'm like, man, this is going to be a heck of a uphill climb to figure this out. But that's when the light bulb went off in my head to start this thing.
So did you have the idea about selling the equipment first, or did you already have the channel?
So when I was I had the channels first. So I was going to these shows and I was videoing people's reactions to it and different car audio stuff mostly. And I started growing a following online, but I didn't know what for. I thought I would just be cool on the internet, maybe, or maybe an internet celebrity. So I was just like getting a bunch of subscribers and followers on different platforms, mostly on YouTube is where I started at, but started bleeding over into Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat, like all of these. So I was just growing it and sharing my stuff. And I started making a little bit of money on YouTube. It wasn't really a ton or anything, but it was a nice little supplement at the time. But I just thought I would be cool on the internet until that day I was at the show and somebody asked me, where do you get your stuff from? I'm like, man, I could be selling these people this stuff if I could figure out how. So that I had the following first, but I didn't know really why, other than I thought I'd be cool on the internet. I didn't know that one day down the road I would have established a great rapport and connection with these people that was organic on the front side to be able to leverage into sales sometime in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that most people don't realize about building an online business. Whether you start with a product or a service or an idea first, or you start with the audience first, right? Whichever way you do it, either way, you're going to need an audience and you're going to need a product. But the thing is, once you build that audience, you don't have to just sell them that one product. You could sell them anything, right? Anything that's related to what you're doing, they're going to buy from you if you've built up that trust and rapport. And that's one of the neat things I think about what you've really done here is that now you've got an audience. Not only will they buy, car parts from you, but they'll buy all sorts of things, car accessories, merch, whatever it is that's related to what you're doing, they're going to be willing to buy.
100% accurate on that. And like I said, I didn't know what it was for at first, and it just happened to kind of roll into that. But now that we do different things, not just car audio, but if we come out with Bluetooth headsets or Bluetooth speakers or all these other things, you're like, oh yeah, I want to version it down for sound of that, just because mostly they're following me and my journey from where I started at. And they're like, I just want to be a lifetime supporter of this guy. He's a great dude. So they just always come back to support me. So it's really cool.
So how many followers or subscribers did you have before you started offering anything that like a link or affiliate link or whatever for someone to buy?
It wasn't really, if I had to guess, maybe a collective of 20,000 or so. So in comparison to over 1 million now, it was very small, but it was 20,000 organic. So these people were there because they wanted to be. I've never paid for subscribers or paid for people to subscribe or anything like that. So it was my engagement with them was a very high rate. So they felt like this really genuine connection with me. So if I, when I did start something, I had 20,000 legit people there, not 200,000 people. A lot of people pay for their following or whatever. So we can touch on that if you want to, but I don't think that's a great idea, because when you go to offer a service or a product, you can't sell that to ghost followers or fake followers. They can't ever spend money with you. It's just a number there. So anyway, my 2 cents on that real quick.
Okay, so you had about 20,000 really engaged kind of super fans, and then you layered in affiliate marketing, correct?
Yeah. So the way that it started, when I'm like, okay, I need to figure out when it transitioned into selling a little bit, I needed to figure out how to. At this time, I was living with my parents. I was a true failure to launch episode. I was 30 something years old, living with my parents, paycheck to paycheck, just spending all my money on stupid stuff. And so I didn't have anything to lose because I didn't have anything anyway. So, I thought, but I also in starting the business, I didn't have any money at first either. I had about $5,000 saved up. So when I decided to do it, these companies offered a drop shipping program. So I'm like, okay, of course I'm going to make less profit because they're doing all the work. Basically, I'm just getting the sale and making a little commission off of it. So I would get the sale on my website, and then before I even had a website, I was just dealing with people one-on-one through Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger or whatever. I was just dealing with these people. So I would just get the sale, sell it for whatever, and then I would contact the company. Hey, I need to place this order for so-and-so. And that's kind of how I was doing this kind of affiliate, or I guess it was somewhat of a dealer program, but the margin on it was really small because I was doing the least amount of work at that time. So the more that it grew, there's different tiers of margin that you can make, because obviously a person that's going to do a buy-in with the company and spend more money with them, and then also actually stock their product in their own warehouse, they're going to give more margin to those people, because I call it they're helping you pay your rent, because you're giving more money to them, but they also have their product stored at your location and you're taking care of it and everything like that. So anyway, the margins grew, and then the more you spend with people, again, like the more you buy, the better deal you get. So it just kept growing from there. But it started off really small, and that me just doing the drop shipping method.
So as you got started, what kind of revenue did you see like your first year of this kind of drop shipping version compared to where you are now?
It's funny to think about because I do that like daily now. So when I was starting, the first year in officially doing it, I would think we did like 30 or 40,000 the first year. So again, really small I think of it really small. But anyway, so that's how it started. I mean,
Through Facebook Messenger, that's pretty impressive.
yeah, but you can sell like a $1,000 subwoofer or a $2,000 amplifier or something like that. So it's not like you're selling $20 t-shirts. Like it can add up like pretty fast. And that was another thing that I learned, like because when I first started, before I got really heavy into selling the audio parts, was I'm like, people would ask for shirts or stickers or lanyards, like merchandise or whatever at these shows. And so I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I was selling these t-shirts that I would pay, I don't know, at the time, $8 or $9. So I would sell them for 20 or 25 bucks. And I'm like, man, this is great margin in comparison to the audio equipment I was making 20% on. But so that's how my head was thinking. Like, I make way more selling t-shirts like percentage wise than I do big ticket. The big ticket items or whatever. It wasn't occurring to me. In my head, I was just thinking I'm making 150% on the t-shirts, but on the audio, I'm only making 20%. But I didn't think 20% of 1,000 is how many t-shirts is that that I would make. So anyway, finally it made sense, and I came across needing to get bigger ticket sales.
I'm curious on your content strategy and initially what that started out with when you were just kind of having fun with it, and then how did you transition into actually selling?
Yeah, so I have a great couple of lessons learned here on one thing not to do. So the first thing was, yes, I was going to shows and I was really just videoing people's reactions to my systems and different people's vehicles, custom cars and stuff like that, and sharing them. Basically, if people could not attend car shows, I was doing it for them so they could do it virtually. Like they were living vicariously through my sharing of like going to these shows and seeing all the highlights of the show. So that's how I started like gaining the following, was just being in this niche of people that love custom cars and sharing it with them. And that's why they started following me, because I wasn't selling anybody anything. I was just sharing this stuff, so people were more willing to subscribe to what I was doing. Because something that I have learned is when you start getting too heavy on the sales side, sales advertising, it really turns people off. And so when I was growing it in the best way organically, was just sharing the stuff when I wasn't selling anything. So when I started moving into doing like product unboxings and stuff like that, people really didn't care at the beginning, because they're like, oh, it's cool, he's starting his own business, and they're really supportive and everything. But the more it transitioned into selling stuff, the more my subscriber rate and view rate started to like go down. So I'm like, oh man, what's happening? What am I doing? But then after a while, I'm like, oh, it's because they're starting to view me as he's only trying to sell me something. And people don't like that. I mean, you go on social media today and you're getting hit with ads all day long. You go to YouTube videos, you're getting hit with ads. So that's something that I learned over the course of time being on YouTube and social media, is you have to have like a good blend. I would say more so what people want to be there for, and then just kind of sprinkle in like a little ads every now and then, so they don't feel so this dude's just trying to like take my money. So that's something that I learned over the time of doing this and the time that I got really heavy on the ads was really late in probably the past 2 or 3 years, but it's because I moved to Las Vegas, and during the winter time is our slow season for going to car shows. So during that time, I would have my videos that I was producing for YouTube would really go down because I didn't have any content from going to the show. So I'm like, well, why don't I just start sharing more product unboxings or new product releases, whatever it might be. So at least something's there. But I don't know. I don't think it was the best idea to go so heavy on that, because my view rate, even though my subscribers were still up there, hundreds of thousands, it wasn't converting to views really well, because people are just like, this guy's trying to sell me stuff. I'm over it. So anyway, that was a lesson learned for me.
It's a lesson that we had to learn early on too when we were creating content. You know, people love buying things, but they hate being sold. And I think the rule that we learned, and it's we follow it pretty closely to this day, is that it's like an 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your content is just pure value, and then like 20% you can pitch something, right? So it's, you know, four videos or 4 posts of value, and then 1 where you're blatantly pitching whatever it is you're selling.
Right. Yeah, it seems like a good percentage to like stick to. Yeah, anything more than that would be you're more selling somebody something than helping them.
So how long did this take you? Like, how long did you go, when you got started, get to 20,000, and then how quickly have you grown from there?
So I started doing this full time like 8 years ago. I haven't looked to see what the revenue was for. I actually have a whiteboard over here. Okay, so in 2016, my goal was to do $1 million in sales. I was writing this on the board like every year to do that. So it's easy to go from say 50,000 to $250,000 or something when you're selling products that can be $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 a piece. Like if you just keep working at it. So if I had to guess, I would think it went something like 40 to 250 to 600-ish. And then, so to go from that, and I did reach the $1 million goal that year. I actually hit 1.2 in that year, 2016. And then it kind of just went up from there. And the past 3 years, 2020, I think, that year, we did 18.1. But I tell everybody that year was really like a facade, because you're getting, everybody almost won the lottery. They were getting stimulus checks, like all this stuff was happening. So you're getting all this, and most people that win the lottery, what do they do with the money? They blow it instantly. Like they don't know what to do with it. So I'm in a way winning the lottery from all these other people getting their stimulus checks, because everybody's spending money like crazy with us. So it made us experience a really unrealistic growth year, because we went from whatever the year before COVID was, we did like 12.5, and then the next year we did like 18. When you're going up from, again, like 50,000 to 250,000, it sounds really cool, and number wise, percentage wise, you're like, man, that's a huge jump. But again, it's only $200,000 difference. I hate to even say it like that. It sounds bad, but it's a big difference between to go say doing 12.5 to like go to 50 or 80 from 12.5. It takes a lot of inventory turned over than in comparison to going from 50 to 250 is what I'm trying to say. So in we did 18 that year, and then the year after we did 17.6, and then last year we did 17.2. So like somewhere in there but again, like stimulus checks are getting cut off, like a lot of uncertainty in the economy and everything like that. So I'm very grateful that we're still able to do 17 plus in this area of car audio. I'm just like, it sometimes blows me away when I talk to my parents about it. They're like, especially my dad's like, I can't believe that you're selling this much car audio to people. Are you sure? I'm like, I'm showing the numbers and the data and everything. He said, where does it go? I'm like, everywhere, every day. I don't know how it's happening, but I'm grateful. So anyway, that's kind of wrong with it.
That's awesome. So 17 million in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this still all drop shipping, or is this some affiliate stuff, or have you white labeled anything? Have you created your own products?
Yeah, so it's not just drop shipping. We do very little drop shipping now. I moved out to Vegas about 8 years ago, and I really started this full time, and had my back kind of against the wall and trying to figure things out. But so I started out I had all my products in my girlfriend's house at the time in her garage, and then it grew into in her garage and the living room, one of her spare rooms, and then I'm like, okay, I need some more rooms, so I went and bought or rented 2 like 10 by 15 storage units, and I was like keeping the product there, but I was still running it out of the house, and I was having to run back and forth. I'm like, okay, I need to have a official warehouse place to like have a place of business. So when I got my first warehouse, and it was 2,500 square feet. Then a couple of years after that, I outgrew that, moved to 7,500 square feet, and the roof was taller, so I was able to do, instead of 2 pallet rows high, I was able to do 3 pallet rows high. Then a couple of years after that, outgrew that and moved into my current warehouse. What I'm at now is 30,000 square feet, and it has higher ceilings than the second place. So not only did I get 4 times the amount of real estate like wide, I also got a whole another layer high. So I'm now at 4 pallet positions tall to like get even more real estate vertically. So that's where we're at now in that 8-year span of, and like how we've grown it from that. We also have a small location in North Carolina and in Mississippi to help facilitate orders going to the East Coast, so it gets there faster and less likely to have damages like being closer.
Just so I understand, from drop shipping, you went to just wholesaling the products yourself, right? You source them from the manufacturer, you get them at your house, and then you're selling them directly to the consumer.
Correct. We were doing a direct-to-consumer type of business model. And yes, when we first started, I know I forgot you asked something about white labeling, stuff like that. When we first started, we were just selling other people's brands. Like the name Down for Sound was only a place that sold other people's brands. So we were doing that for a while. And then in that course of like the 8 years, people started asking for our own household name brand, like, hey, are you ever going to do a Down for Sound amplifier or whatever? I'm like, oh no, we're making good money on these other ones, no need to do that. And then anyway, it put that little seed in my head. I'm like, maybe they're onto something there. It'd be cool to have an amp of our own. And so that's how that started. And now we've grown our own Down for Sound brand to having over 500 different SKUs. So 500 different products of like full amplifier line, full speaker line, sound deadening, pretty much everything at this moment besides subwoofers, and those are in the works. So not too long, we'll be full-fledged, like our own brand of stuff. And we've also been transitioning from pushing, obviously it's easier to push your own growth of your own baby than somebody else's. Like you want to, like you feel a lot more attached to it and you really want it to succeed. So all of our efforts and focus are more so on our own brand. So we've been not only getting away from selling some of the other slower moving things, because it just doesn't make sense to waste space in the warehouse for things that aren't moving fast. We're trying to get into like a 2 to 3 month turnover period of like our products. So anyway, now the demand for Down for Sound products is growing at a crazy rate. So we sell probably 20 to 1 our brand over other brands that we offer. And obviously when we first started, we were selling the other brands 20 to 1 over a Down for Sound brand. So to see the transition go from the demand of all these other brands that we were selling to our brand is just crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is, because we used to sell products on Amazon. It was kind of something that we did for a little while, just, to see how it goes. And it was, there's a lot to it, right? And a lot of logistics. And I know that between, affiliate marketing, where if I were to grab an affiliate link from Amazon or Walmart or wherever and sell something, I might get 4% of the sale versus, drop shipping, like I said, 10 or 20% versus white labeling. I know for the products that we were selling, from, the cost of the manufacturer to shipping to, sending it to Amazon and Amazon delivering it and Amazon delivery fees and all that, our profit margins were, and if we're not paying for ads, about 30, 40%.
Right.
So what, if you don't mind, if you don't want to reveal, don't you don't have to. But what are your margins on that? What are you making whenever you make a sale of your own white label product?
Yeah, so we shoot. I mean, I'm so transparent about my whole journey on social media, and I think that like I have a lot of people follow me on my personal Facebook page because I just share my thoughts and even things that I've learned along the way, little tips and tricks all the time. And I'm just super open about everything, and I think people again feel more of a connection with me because of that transparency. And that's in the good times and the bad times. Like some people just want to only post all their good times and their good, perfectly lit photos and all this stuff. But I'm like, I share it all. So anyway, our goal is to try to double like what we pay for our product. So if something costs us $100 landed like to our warehouse, I'm like gonna I'll list it for $199. So that's the goal. But obviously shipping will come out of that. That can equate to usually around 10% of the gross sales. So take $20 off of that. But there's a lot of variables and how much it weighs, how far it's going. And if the person, we do free shipping over $100. So most of the time we are paying for shipping out of our own pocket because people will always try to nudge their order over $100 to, of course, like, I mean, I would too. But so most of the time we're paying the shipping. So, fun fact, last year, our shipping bill alone was over $2 million.
Wow.
So, yeah, to go from like our first year of being like, what, maybe $5,000 in shipping to now like paying like every week, like the bill comes in to pay for the shipping. And during peak season, like last year, I think it was $70,000 for 1 week and just shipping. Like just shipping fees. And this is mostly ground. Like, so we're obviously, if we're paying for it, we're trying to ship it the most economical way. And the customer, I mean, yes, they want to get it as fast as possible, but they know selecting the free shipping option that we have on there, it could be 3 to 7 business days. So are you okay with this? Or do you need to select an expedited shipping option? And then they can do that if they want to. But most of them are like, it's just car audio. It's not a heart transplant. I don't need it tomorrow morning or whatever. It'll be fine. So anyway.
Wow. So 17 million in sales and roughly, 40% after shipping and all that is in your pocket.
Yeah. And I mean, we're gonna pay like our employees and stuff like that out of there too. But yeah, it's not bad like at all. Like I mean, I'm very grateful to have achieved this. But I don't get. I know the numbers are spicy and they sound cool and everything, but I just see myself with this dude from Mississippi. Like, yes, the numbers in your account change, but I just posted yesterday, the money never changed me. Like I've been dead broke. I have millions of dollars. I'm still JP. Like it doesn't really, I try not to let it get to my head or get too involved in the numbers because it can mess with your ego sometimes. Like even if you try not to let it, like just knowing what you could do with it or whatever, I just try to like keep it over there. And most of the time, the only time I like really talk about those things is with my accountant, especially around this time because it's tax time coming up, and you're like, okay, how much are we going to have to pay? And for that to go from when I was working for somebody else being very upset about paying $4,000 or $8,000 a year in taxes to now she's $400,000 to $800,000, and you're like, what? How? And but anyway, it's part of it, and obviously we're always trying to do our best to strategize to keep as much money in the business as possible because I 100% believe I know what to do with the money better than the government does. Just, I don't think there's a worse person out there to be in control of funds than the government. I mean, how can you be so many trillions of dollars in debt and you're trying to tell other people how to spend their money? Come on. But anyway, that might be a different subject.
Yeah, we could go off on that for a while.
Right.
I think it's really inspiring how you started with passion and it naturally grew. And now you have a 30,000 foot warehouse. You've got, was it 20 something employees or something you said?
Yeah.
Over 17 million in revenue per year. Like in 8 years. Like that's really that's really impressive. So I mean, even just some of the stuff that you've talked about here, as someone who doesn't work in the physical product space and the logistics and all, like, I'm like, you had to learn some stuff in this process. So did you get a mentor? How did you learn all of that? Because that sounds kind of intense. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I did somewhat have a mentor getting started. My dad always taught me that you can have anything you want in this world as long as you're willing to like work your ass off for it. But I didn't know at the time what I was just trading all of my hours I could for dollars. Like that's all I knew. Like the only way that I can make dollars is to trade it, me, like in hours of myself for that. So I was working and everything that I did, like I tried to give it my all. And when I was working the 4 jobs, I was pumping gas at an airport into like planes. And I was, so that's what I did mainly. But I also, when we were slow, I would anything, vacuum the floors, clean the toilets, work on airplanes. I did whatever. Also had a little couple of side hustles of detailing cars and airplanes on the side. These people would fly out and like, hey, you want your car detailed while you're going? Yeah. Okay. So I would do that. And then I also had a little lawn care service where I cut about 10 yards a week. And somehow in having those 3 things already going on, I'm like, man, I have a few extra hours on these days. I wonder if I can fill that in with something else. So there I was going to my favorite restaurant, asking her if I could be a waiter. And she's like, yeah, we'd love to have you. So I was doing all those things. And when I started getting more into car audio, like really heavy, this guy like messages me and he says, or I actually messaged him because he was the owner of this company called Excess Power, and they made batteries and they had like cable that you install car audio with. Your amplifiers and speakers, they require cable to hook them up. Anyway, I reached out to him like, hey man, I'm trying to do this like this build and I need a bunch of wire for it. I could get sponsored by you. And he said, yeah, we could like get you on the team or whatever, but give me a call. I think I have another idea for you. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, this dude's the owner of this company. I really don't even know. I didn't even expect you to respond to me begging for a sponsorship. So he responds to me and he's like, yeah, but just give me a call. I'm like, okay. So I call him. He's like, man, I see you working your ass off for all these other people and like how passionate you are in doing that. I just want to say, like, if you worked half as hard for yourself as you do for other people, you'll be ultra successful. And so if you want to start your own brand sometime, he said, I can sell you my wire, but I think you should do your own thing. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, this dude's trying to take advantage of me. Like, why me? You know, like just this dude from Mississippi trying to make it. But why is this guy reaching out to help me? You know, so I was just defensive and I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. So, but it planted the seed in my head. When I would be cutting grass, it's like a really monotonous thing. So I'm like, why me? Why did he say that to me? Like, is he trying to make money off of me or is he just trying to gas me up to see me fail? Like all these scenarios are running in my head, and then also I'm going to the shows and people are asking, where do you get the equipment from and all this stuff. So anyway, he helped with, I decided to go with that. I'm like, okay, I'll do my first run of wire, like with him. It was, looking back at it, as a very small thing for him to do. It was like probably a $5,000 investment into this wire. And he brought it in on one of his containers with his brand of wire. So he basically white labeled it for me under my brand that I wanted. And then like I sold it. And ever since then, like I've used that money to flip over, like over and over and over to what it is today, basically. But he helped me get not only like, I don't know, my mind started, but also with questions that I had in the beginning, to where it's, you know, like these things you just don't know, because you've never ran a business before. So he was really accessible to me to help, I don't know, kind of slingshot me forward in doing this when other people like may not have known any of this stuff. So that definitely helps to have a mentor. And I have a lot of people on my social media that reach out to me all the time. They either think they want to start a business or they have a business and it's failing, like they want all these ideas or help me fix it or whatever. So, but obviously doing like a mentorship or like these programs, it takes a lot of back end work to set that up, and thinking about it on the side of what it brings in comparison to my business now that I'm growing to hopefully, like the goal is to have it as a $100 million a year company. It's hard to know that I'm taking focus off of that, like growing my baby to help people, but it's also very fulfilling to help people. So I'm trying to balance that and get it started. And we almost have it all mapped out to where we'll have like basically one Zoom call a month, like on a dedicated day for people to have access to me, like whatever you want to ask, that type of thing. So getting really close to that, but that's my way of like giving back to people, because the guy that helped me get the seed going, like I don't know, I feel really good about helping people out. It's just a lot of people, if they don't have anything invested into it, they're more likely to throw it away. So, and that's something that I've learned time and time again, and why I'm like, okay, I need to come up with some sort of paid service program, because not only is it'll make them more willing to use it because they had to give up hard-earned dollars that they had to like earn. So they're more than likely going to use it instead of not. And even if they don't, at least I got somewhat compensated for my time, instead of me spending hours and hours and hours helping somebody. They're like, nah. Like, bro, come on, man. I gave you 50 hours of my time. Like, and you just throw it away. But it's because they don't have anything invested into it. So they don't feel like it matters if they use it or not.
Yeah. They don't value it. So I'm kind of curious about your YouTube strategy and growing that audience on social media. How did you learn how to do that? Or was there a specific strategy, or is this just something that just happened and you don't even know how it happened? Because sometimes it happens that way too. But I mean, is there anything specific you did to grow your channel and to grow that following?
Yeah, the most important thing was, like, my first few years of doing it were the fastest growth years, because again, I wasn't selling anything, and I think that's a big way. And I was just doing this organic thing that I had done since day one. So it opened the gate and people kept coming in. But something that I did, like social media wise, that helped get a lot of engagement and pick subscribers back up and comments. There's right when you think you figure out the algorithm, they change it. So you think you got it all figured out, and then you're like, why is that not working anymore? I just, like, the last time I did this, I got tons of views and likes and comments or whatever. And you do the same thing for a while and it works good. And then next thing you know, one day it just falls off because Google's like, nah, we're going to change it. So, or whatever it might be. So what I did for a while to get a lot of engagement and stuff was, if I came up with like a new product, and it also made people less, I guess, scared of he's trying to sell me something, would be like, so if I came out with a new product, I would give them a, like, hey, we're coming out with this new speaker. Check it out. Okay, if you'd like to enter to win one of these, we're going to give one away for when I first started it, it was a lot smaller. For every 20 likes and 20 shares and 20 comments on this, we're going to give one away to somebody. So people are like, and I would say it only takes you 5 seconds to do this. It could, like, that 5 seconds of work could be a $50 reward. Where else, or where are you going to get paid that good or whatever? So anyway, I would pitch it in that way. And then, so in the next video that we did for a different product, I would call the winners for the prior video. So obviously people had to like it, share it, subscribe to you, and comment on it. So it was triggering the algorithm to, like, blow up, because people were doing all these things that tickled the algorithm, like, oh, this guy's, like, people really like him or whatever, like, he's getting all these comments, all these likes, all these shares, subscribes, like, all this stuff. So I did that for a while until I got, like, as busy as I am now. I still try to do it, but it's, again, like, trying to juggle the time when you're growing to all these different levels of business. You're like, is it worth that much time and effort like putting into this stuff? So anyway, that's something that I did that had a great ROI for me when I was smaller, to get more people engaged. And each one of those people that share it, like say on Facebook, they share it onto their timeline. You're hitting however many friends that they have. Like you're getting into all these, every time you're getting into all these new groups of people that they probably didn't even know anything about you before that person shared your stuff. So that's something that worked really well for me that I would definitely recommend for people to do if they have products. I mean, it could be a digital product, like, hey, we have a new course or whatever it might be. Like we're going to give one away for, I mean, you set it to whatever your following is. Obviously, if somebody has 1 million followers, they're not going to say for every 20 likes and shares I get, I'm going to give one of these away, because you would end up giving away more than it was worth, because it would cost you a ton of money. Anyway, so the person has to kind of gauge that on their own to whatever they feel the value is, because if a person has 200 subscribers and they got, say, 10% of that in likes and shares, they would probably feel a lot of value, like, oh, cool, I got 20 people like this and shared it. That's amazing. But if a person had 1 million subscribers and only 20 people liked it and shared it, they would feel like, what did I do wrong? This isn't good. So you kind of have to feel that out yourself, but it worked really well for me.
Yeah, there was a very similar strategy, actually the exact same strategy I think people were doing on Instagram for a while, and maybe they still are, but that was, they call it Instagram contests. But yeah, that's something that can really trigger the algorithm, because you're getting all that engagement, the likes and the shares, and people are watching as well. One of the things you said about, every time you think you got the algorithm figured out, they change the algorithm. And that's true on every platform though. But I think because here's the thing is that whenever people figure out the algorithm, they game the system, right? And then, whether it's Google or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, they're always trying to figure out, well, how do I stop people from gaming the system? And so it's like it's this constant battle of trying to gauge real interest in your content and real engagement. And so, I mean, for the longest time, you could buy likes, you could buy subscribers, you could buy watch time and all that on YouTube videos. And eventually, and that would work, or even before that, it was keyword stuffing, right? You could keyword stuff your videos, you could keyword stuff your blog posts, and you would rank. And then, Google and YouTube figured out, keyword stuffing is not really the best measure of actual relevancy and whether it's going to be of interest to our audience. So why don't we look at engagement? And so the algorithm kind of switched to gauging likes and shares and those sorts of things. And now people have learned to kind of game that system, and that's why you can buy likes and shares and subscribers and things like that. And so now it's and they're always fighting that, right? And so they're always looking for ways. They're coming up with more and more sophisticated ways. Now YouTube has such sophisticated software. I mean, when you upload a video, they know everything you're saying. They know the context you're saying it in. They can look at the imagery in a video and know what location you're in. But that's the thing. It's like getting so sophisticated now, because now they're looking at, not just click rates, not just, engagement, but they're also looking at watch time and what the people do after they watch your video. Are they clicking off? Are they going to a different video? If they're going to a different video, what video is that? Is it another one of your videos? Is it somebody else's video? So it's just so complicated now that really all you really need to do is just focus on making good content. Just stop trying to game the system. Stop trying to game the algorithm.
Try to be yourself.
Yep. Just make good, engaging content and build that relationship with your audience so that they want to watch more of your content. They want to like and share and subscribe, because that's what the algorithm is trying to gauge is, do you have that authentic engagement and following, and are people going to watch more of your videos if you keep uploading them?
Right. I definitely agree there. And the whole thing of people paying for, we actually just had a guy do that in the car audio space. He went from having, 500 subscribers, and nobody ever paid attention to him, to now in the course of like 6 months, and no great content or anything like that. So anyway, when I think he has over 2 million subscribers now, you know how many views he gets on his videos? Less than 100. How? And he swears, he doubles down or triples down. I'm authentic. I've never paid for subscribers. I'm like, you're just making it worse, bro. Like, people, you don't think people can see like the numbers? Like, it doesn't make sense. And every time he would go from like, say, 1 million to 1,050,000, 1,050,000 to 11, like 1.1, and you're like, you know, you mean your subscribers, they just show up in blocks of 50,000? Like, you have set amount of people? Come on, man. So anyway, he's into, he's trying to do basically the same thing that I've done, but obviously also trying to fast track his way to what I've done. Not only grow a social media following, because everybody knows there's a lot of value there if it's a legit one. I think that kind of flew over his head, like, oh, if I just have millions of subscribers, this will get me a lot of business. And funny story with that, he was talking all this mess, like, I got all these subscribers and stuff, and we go to one of the biggest car audio shows this year, and he shows up with his business and everything, and then I'm down the way with my business and our like demo vehicles. Now we have like, at that show we had like 15 different vehicles there, so it was a lot of exposure. And anyway, I actually posted a picture of it, because around our booth in our area, there's like, it looked like a sea of people. There's like, because I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to be coming to the show, come out and see me. And everybody's sharing it, liking it, commenting on it, like, can't wait to see you, bro, like all this stuff. And he makes almost identical posts. We're going to the show, come to see us, and blah, blah, blah. Empty. There's like crickets over there. And I'm just laughing, because I'm like, he doesn't understand that fake bots cannot show up in person and support you. Like, it just doesn't click. And I'm like, who are you trying to fool? Because now you can't even fool the people online, because used to back in the day when it was first a thing, people didn't know any better. They're like, oh, this person's got 10 million subscribers. They didn't know to look at the like count or the view rate or whatever. They're like, wait, they have 10 million subscribers, but they only get 200 views? Come on, bro. Like, so now people are more keen to like, okay, this dude's a fake, because there's nobody viewing your videos. There's nobody showing up in person to see you at these shows or at your booth or whatever. So anyway, I highly recommend not doing that. Like, do it the hard way, and it's way more fruitful for you, because buying fake followers is for what? Like, it's not benefiting anybody. The only thing that it's doing is hurting your bank account.
Yeah, well, it benefits the people that are selling the bot subscribers, right?
Oh yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's a great way to kill a channel, and he's not going to get that back. I hate to drop that news, but because here's the thing is that, now that he has those subscribers, he can't get rid of them, right? There's not a way to shed those off your channel, and those are part of the algorithm too. YouTube is going to look at those and say, okay, so these are the people who are interested in his content. Let's try to show his content to more people who are like this. Well, if you've got a bunch of bot subscribers that are subscribed into a bunch of random channels, because that's probably what they're also subscribed to, YouTube is going to look at that and say, oh, well, let's show this to other bot subscribers. Well,
yeah, I think it's people say that your money's in your list. Well, it's your money's in your audience, right? That's it. It is a grind. You have to figure out, there's strategies, there's techniques, there's getting better at what you do to create more engaging content. But in the end, it comes down to creating good content that people can connect with.
So please tell me that you're building an email list as well as growing a YouTube channel and all that, right?
Oh yeah, we have over 130,000 subscribers. Not subscribers, customers on our store alone now. So that's a lot of, so something that I also learned about that is you can get handicapped on emailing too. So you have to be careful with how much you're hitting people's emails, because obviously you'll get unsubscribes, but you'll also get handicapped from Yahoo or like all these different companies, like, oh, this dude's spamming email. they'll send your email straight to spam boxes and people will never see them. So we're actually going through a revamp right now on like trying to, because we weren't ever super heavy on sending out emails because we knew that, but we got to where we're like, man, we're not getting a lot of click-throughs or open rates so on our emails. What's going on? And we had been flagged by a lot of them as spam for whatever reason. I guess there was a lot of people maybe reporting it as spam or whatever. So anyway, right now we just got finished doing some classes with what's the name of the thing? I think it's called OmniSend is who we might use for our email service. But anyway, they had this little course or whatever. It's like when you're going to do your emails again or whatever, start out with a smaller target group. So it's like start with sending out to 5,000 people, like that's your higher, like, basically these people are going to open them. So send it to this group first and then the next, because I'm like, man, hit that list for 130,000, bro. Like, no, what? 5,000 subscribers or 5,000 emails? Like, no, just hit the full thing. And so it's also me being educated by my guy that does like a lot of our social media and our newsletters and stuff like that, because I mean, that's what he gets paid for. Like he's supposed to know a lot more than me in that. So he's educating me on like, I can if you want me to, but it's going to hurt us again. So it's better to do 5,000 then 15,000, 25,000 and slowly step it up over time. Do these like once a week, maybe once or twice a week. So it's taking some learning on my part too, to be like, okay, it's more like doing it the hard way again. And like, because I preach that, like, do it organic, do it the hard way. Don't try to go like wide open and like just get as many emails out there as possible. So sometimes you have to take your own advice. So this is me taking my own advice with doing the emails, something that I just learned. So I think we just sent the first one out on Monday for 5,000. So I think we may be sending out another one today for 10 or 15. So slowly ramping it up over time to hopefully get better click-throughs and stuff like that. But that's another nugget that I just learned, so I figured I'd share it.
Yeah, that's good advice. A lot of people maybe don't have an email list that big that they need to segment like that. But yeah, once you do get to a certain point, you want to start doing that so that you're going to make sure that if that first email that you send out, it has a high spam report rate or high unopened rate, that you don't send it to the whole list, right?
Right.
So just your email list, is that just customers, or when you email that list, is it just with sales stuff? Is it just with coupons and things to buy, or do you also email them content?
Most of the time is stuff that, since it's like people that have signed up via our website for like purchasing things, like that's how we're collecting it when they become a customer. But sometimes we'll send out like content things on I don't know, tech tips. Like, do you know how to wire these subwoofers up? Do you know the proper electrical that you need for this size of amplifier or something like that? So we mix some of that stuff in there too. So again, people don't think we're just trying to sell them stuff. Even though on the email stuff, I would say it's probably still like a larger amount sales stuff than it is like just trying to give people content there. But when as far as uploading and stuff, it's definitely us trying to provide more content than sales stuff on that side. So maybe we should try doing more tech stuff. I don't know. I guess after we like do this trial run of segmenting the emails out, see how it goes, and if it's not going as good as we think, maybe we'll try doing more tech stuff, like more helpful emails to get people to click. And I mean, at the bottom of it, you could always put like, if you found this helpful and you'd like to support us, check out our shop or whatever if you need anything. So
have you thought about just growing your email list with like a free lead magnet, like a free PDF giveaway or something, just to get people on your list and then selling to them after they're on your list?
Yeah, well, not for, I guess, the car audio side, but I did start sharing the thing for like my mentorship stuff, like on my social media every now and then. Sometimes I'll post something business related, it'll get a ton of comments or whatever. So I'll post in a comment like 2 days after it dies off, like people are moving on to the current day's events. I'll go back to that post where there's 100 comments or hundreds of comments, and I'll post like, hey guys, if you're ever if you've ever been interested in like starting your own business, or like you want my opinion on how to help yours or whatever, sign up on my site here. So it's thelifeofprice.com, and you can sign up for it's right now you're not paying for anything. It's just basically we're building the email list on the mentorship side. So that's how I go about doing that. Again, it's a very small thing for me. It's hard for me to get super excited about it, because it's like, do you want to keep pushing this thing that's like millions of dollars, or like push this thing that is basically giving away your time for pennies on the dollar? So anyway, that's why like I don't share it a ton, but we are generating, I think again, it's just now being built out. So I think we may have 100 people on that list. So it's another thing that is such in its infancy. It's kind of cool in a way, because I'm starting over. And like, you don't have 100,000 plus people to like text like, hey bro, you want 20% off this like speaker or whatever. So it's like starting over from scratch again.
So with where you're at in business right now, there's so many things that you can do. I know that, people who get started in the physical product space and, they have their own warehouses and things like that. One of the things they'll often do is they'll do like third-party logistics for other people who have physical products, because that's something you already know, you've already got the infrastructure for. So that's one way that they expand their business. Sometimes people have like an exit plan, and they know that, okay, once I get to say 100 million in revenue, I'm going to sell the business and have a nice, kind of golden parachute, right? Exit plan. Do you have what's your plan? Is it to exit? Is it to keep growing? What's in the future for you?
Yeah, if you would have asked me 7 years ago, I would have taken a couple million and retired. That was I thought that's what fulfillment was. But yeah, I quickly realized that what brings me true happiness is helping other people, providing like a source of income for all my team members, being able to do like really cool things, cool experiences, and seeing other people become successful alongside me. So that brings me a lot of fulfillment. So because if I wanted to, I could have already sold everything and retired with, I don't know, $20+ million. Like that's plenty golden parachute enough for 99% of the people out there. But I thought further past that. I'm like, okay, if I do that, then what? Do you just want to go live on an island somewhere and drink drinks all day? Like, is that fulfilling? No, I can do that on vacation. After a week of that, I want to come back and do something that's valuable to people. Okay, I don't need to, that shouldn't be my goal. Like, I don't want to do that. So my goal with the company is to keep innovating new products, keep coming out with things that, and providing value to my following and also my customer base. We listen to, like, I'm always posting like, hey, what would you like to see next from Down for Sound? And they'll post whatever speaker or amplifier, like DSP or digital sound processor. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll work on that for you. And we are able to bring it in, since we're not a, like dealer, like we don't sell much to dealers and then the dealers sell to the end user. We're more of a direct to the end user business. So, and I know most of my following is mostly college kids, and then the next age group of 25 to 36, like whatever, like that's where we're at. Is high school kids, college kids, and then up to about mid 30s, and the others are really sporadic. But anyway, so I'm like, how do I provide them for as much value as possible for being a subscriber of mine or being a customer of mine? And what we do in making these products and selling them more so directly to the end user is we're able to come in at a price point for, especially for what we're offering, that's very fair in comparison to somebody that's doing the brand to dealer then to consumer. Because basically in that model, the brand, whatever brand you want to use, is selling to the dealer at dealer cost, and then the dealer is selling it to the customer at MSRP. So what we're able to do, instead of having a ton of dealers, we sell to the end user at the dealer price. So let's use like an item that's I don't know, $500. The person would normally, or the business would normally sell that to the dealer for $1,000, and then they would set a price or a MSRP price of $2,000 on it for the dealer to sell to the customer. So by the time I got to the customer, they'd had to pay almost $2,000 for it. If they buy a very similar or even sometimes the exact same product from us, they get it for $1,000. So it's providing them, people are like, man, this guy's, what he's bringing to the market is like so much value. And we also, amplifiers I'll just use it for example, car audio amplifiers for the history of car audio have mostly came in black or maybe silver sometimes. That's in the history of car audio. They've been a majority of this, 99%. What we've done is introduced colors in 10 different colors per amplifier. So
wow.
So obviously it's a nightmare for logistics and but that's another reason why. And we also do not only the colors, but all these different options that we're offering, all these different, I don't know, frills, if you will, like we add them in. You're able to get basically the Lamborghini for a Corvette cost. Like you're getting the great product in whatever color you want it with all the bells and whistles for a way better price. So obviously to people that are in high school or college, they're pinching pennies anyway. So like, man, I'm able to get this Lambo for the cost of this. Yeah, sign me up. So anyway, that's kind of how we've done that to gain a ton of market share and offer things to these people for that. It is, again, it's really fulfilling for me to know that people are, I mean, I get messages almost every day like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing for car audio. Like you're changing the game. You're providing a great product for an unbeatable price. Like, thank you for looking out for the small guys and stuff like that. So that's really fulfilling, on top of like seeing my team succeed alongside me. So for as far as like me selling out, I've also learned to never say never in business. There's products that we have now that I thought I would never have, but listening to my customer base, I'm like, okay, it's not about me. It's about what they want. So, but right now, like, I love what I'm doing, and I don't see me selling anytime soon, but if it can come to sometime in the future where it's a several $100 million deal was on the table, then it may change. And then I know I would go do something else. Like I probably would have to sign a non-compete, like you can't start over and do this again because you'll dominate again, type of thing. But I've always been interested in real estate, and I know like it's a lucrative, I mean, I dabble in it a little bit right now, but it would be easy to have like all that money to be able to do different projects in real estate, and also like probably some nonprofit stuff, like have a soft heart for animals too. So like things for dogs maybe. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful story on the power of an audience and being able to start with a passion and build it into a multi-million-dollar business. So congratulations on your success. It is very inspiring. If people want to learn more about you or check you out or your store, where do they find you?
Yeah, so if people want to check me out, they can do so. Basically anything is the Life of Price. So YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Life of Price, and then Down for Sound Shop is on a lot of those platforms as well. If you're looking to do some sort of like mentorship, thelifeofprice.com, it'll be up on there. You can check it out. It'll be a very small, intimate setting, but I think I can provide a lot of value for you there as well. But if you're just looking for some car audio, downforsoundshop.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.